This channel is sponsored by Pro Football Focus. NFL, college, and fantasy data for every player, every play, every game. Visit ProFootballFocus.com to learn more. Hey guys, and welcome back to Franchise Nation. I am your host, Moonlightswami, and today I'm bringing you guys a Week 8 recap after a huge win against the Seahawks that probably saved our season, prevented us from going to 2-5. We take on the 49ers this week, but we have the recap. So let's take a look around the league. Jaguars knocked off the Titans 34-25. Redskins beat the Bengals 31-28. Chiefs beat the Colts 21-19. Colts have just been awful this season. Buccaneers beat the Raiders 35-24. We beat the Seahawks. The Lions beat the Texans 24-13. Jets beat the Browns 35-27. That's not surprising. Packers beat the Falcons 35-31. Patriots beat the Bills 27-13. Chargers blank the Broncos 42-0. We're going to go back to that game. Cardinals get revenge on the Panthers 38-17. Philly knocks off Dallas 35-32. And Minnesota beats the Bears 35-24. Let's start off with this game because that's crazy. Why did this happen exactly? Rivers, 5 touchdowns to no interceptions. Austin Davis and Trevor Siemian, neither of them looked good, I guess. That's crazy. Melvin Gordon, 2 touchdowns. Okay, they just murdered them right there. Let's see. Philly beating Dallas. It's a pretty good game. Wentz, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 72%. Romo, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but Darren Sproles also contributed on the ground. Really good performance. Let's see, taking a look. Kind of want to see how this game turned out. And Carson Palmer looked good. Cam looked pretty good too in terms of touchdowns. Even passing, he wasn't that bad. They just couldn't get anything on the ground, maybe? Yeah, it looks like it. Just one of those games, I guess. Ted Ginn was their number 1 receiver. That's definitely not good when you have Kelvin and Greg Olsen and company. So, with that being said, we will take a look at, that's pretty much everything. Vikings beat the Bears 35-24. Let's take a look at the standings now, shall we? All right. We all know that the Patriots are a good team. They're 8-0 to start things off. Eagles 6-1. Cowboys 6-1. So the Eagles handed the Cowboys their first loss. Steelers 6-1. Only loss came at the hands of the Patriots. Chargers 5-1. Ravens 4-1. Jaguars 4-1. And 3 teams at 5-3. Taking a look division by division, Seahawks lead the way. Rams tied with them. Then the Cardinals and 49ers round that out. Eagles at 6-1. Cowboys 6-1. Redskins 5-3. That's a really good division right now. Based on the way that division is looking, we will have to win the division to make the playoffs. In the South, we sit in last place at 3-4 with a loss to Carolina and a loss to Atlanta, who are 4-4, and Buccaneers are 4-3. So, it's still up for grabs. We still have a shot, but that was a big game that we had against Seattle. Packers 4-3, Lions 4-4, Vikings 3-4, Bears 2-6. Then on to the AFC. Chiefs have won 2 straight, and they're kind of getting back into things. Chargers 5-1, Broncos 5-3. Taking a look, Patriots 8-0, Bills, Jets 4-4. Jaguars leading the division 4-1, Titans 5-3, Texans 4-4. Steelers 6-1, Ravens 4-2-1, Bengals 3-5. And then that is everything. So let's take a look at the players of the week, and we'll take a look at some stats, and then we'll get on to next week's game. Not surprisingly, Carson Palmer and Phillip Rivers are your NFC and AFC Offensive Players of the Week. Earl Thomas, NFC Defensive Player of the Week, and Von Miller, AFC. Earl Thomas is not a surprise either. He was absolutely phenomenal. It's just the corners weren't up to par for the Seahawks in the loss to the Saints. After his performance against the Broncos, Phillip Rivers leads the NFL with 2,388 yards. Touchdowns, Jameis Winston leads the way, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks. Then Rivers, Dalton, Wilson, Brees, Romo, Rodgers, Brady, Roethlisberger. And obviously Brady missed 3 games, not 4. He had his suspension reduced. So he delayed it, and then he added, games 2 through 4 that they did that. So interesting. Obviously Brees had a bye week. Let's see if all these, some of these guys. Well, Winston played 7 games, but Rivers and Dalton both played 8, and Brady obviously played 5. So interesting to look at. Devonta Freeman leads the NFL in rushing yards, 831, 5.5 yards per carry. Then Shady, Forsett, Blunt, not bad at all. Deion Lewis, 6 touchdowns. Tywan Jones, D'Angelo Williams, Lacey Sproles, Chris Thompson, Forsett with 6. Christine Michael leads the NFL with 7 fumbles. He had a big one in the game against the Saints. Garrett Blunt, Doug Martin, Devonta Freeman leading the NFL in broken tackles. Receiving, Danny Amendola is your leader with Julian Edelman second. A lot of passing in that Patriots offense. Taking a look at yardage, it's AJ Green, then Golden Tate, Hopkins, Dez Edelman, Julio, Demaryius Thomas, etc. It was a little bit unfortunate that Michael Thomas did get hurt. He did lose some ground in the race for leading the league in terms of receiving yards, but what can you do? AJ Green leads the NFL in touchdowns, but Coby Fleener is tied for second with 7, and he has 527 yards to boot. In terms of sacks, Bobby Massey, Taylor Decker, Jack Conklin, Ryan Clady, and Anthony Costanzo. Pastors, Orr, and Wrights are the only ones with more than 10 sacks allowed. Defensively, this is the time that we have to break it up. AFC, NFC. Cushing leads the AFC in tackles. In terms of tackles for a loss, Muhammad Wilkerson and Sue with 13 each. Hayward and Paya both with 10. Sacks, J.J. Watt and Mack with 11. Jamie Collins with 10.5. They have been dominant this season. Chris Harris Jr. with 3 interceptions as well. On to the NFC. Start things off with tackles. Paul Warlow leads the NFC, followed by Tahir Whitehead and Dayon Buchanan. Tackles for a loss, Linval Joseph with 19. It's like a hot knife through butter. That's the way he's been playing. In terms of sacks, Connor Barwin with 11, Cameron Jordan with 10, Brandon Graham 8.5, Ansah 8. Desmond Trufant, 3 interceptions, Earl Thomas, Sherman, K'Wan Williams, Malcolm Jenkins, all with 3. On to deflections. Josh Norman leads the way, then Slay, Williams, Buchanan, and Fuller. Fumble recoveries, 3 forced fumbles. We force a good amount of fumbles. Block kicks, how many block kicks have there been? Kruger, Simon, we had 2 of them. Obviously, Jerry's Bird had 1 of them as well. Safety count, and Stephon Anthony has 1 of those as well. Defensive touchdowns, Kruger, Bro, not too many. In terms of kicking, I'd love to see Will Lutz on here, but I don't think they're going to show him because he still is kind of glitched. But he's only missed 1 field goal this season. So, that's that. Kick returns, in terms of all NFL. Amir Abdullah has 2. Well, Fuller, Goodwin, and Lockett. So all speedsters and then Abdullah. And then punt returns. Devin Hester has the most punt returns. And Giovanni Bernard has 2 punt return touchdowns. Ginn and Cobb with touchdowns as well. Looking at the Saints stats, Drew Brees has been good at times. His accuracy has not been great, and his interceptions, part of them have been that the team has been so bad defensively that he's had to force passes, but a lot of them have been just bad ball placement, not very uncharacteristic of Brees, but he has started to lose a little bit of that accuracy as he's gotten older. Still a very good quarterback, but just some of those things have been a little bit concerning. Mark Ingram, 431 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. He's been all right, but he really isn't a dynamic running back. And I think that's the problem for this team, that even among power backs, he's just not dynamic enough to guarantee big plays. He can get stuffed too easily, and the offensive line does not help. Receiving, Michael Thomas leads the team in receptions and yards, or not yards, but receptions. 497 yards is second behind Coby Fleener. Brandon Cooks, 28 receptions for 488. He's averaging 17 yards per catch. 4 touchdowns, 7, 3, and Snead with 1. Unfortunately, they don't show drops, but he's played more snaps than Michael Thomas has this season because Thomas is also lining up in the slot a lot, which, you say that 10 times fast, but that's what he's been doing. In terms of sacks allowed, Andres Pete is not allowed a sack, but he hasn't been great in terms of run blocking. Zach Strief has been terrible. Tim Lolito has been pretty bad, and Unger has been unreliable as a whole. Teron Armstead is obviously Teron Armstead. He's been fantastic. Defensively, Vaccaro's been one of our leading players. Stephon Anthony's been great. Bro has been all right. He's made some plays. He's struggled a bit at times. Ellerby is literal hit or miss. He'll get into the backfield on blitzes, and outside of that, he's been bad. Devontae Harris is what you expect from a rookie corner playing the role that he has. And obviously 9 tackles for a loss for Vaccaro. Tyler Davison has been breaking through the line a lot as well, something that is a little bit interesting. David Onyemata has had some big plays as well. Sacks, it's all Cameron Jordan. Kruger has been great. Daniel Ellerby, 2.5, etc. Interceptions, Bro with 2. Harris, Williams, and Bell all with 1. Deflections, James Laurinaitis leads the way. Forced fumbles, 3 for Jordan, 2 for Anthony, 1 for a bunch of other guys, 1 bunch of returns, and then obviously we know the rest. So Will Lutz, we can't take a look at his stats on here, so we're going to look at them on here, because this is how we can actually gauge the fact that he's kicking all these damn field goals. Let's see. Season stats. 5 for 5, 8 for 8, 10 for 10, 12 for 13, 13 for 14 total. And he's missed 2 extra points. So, or 3 extra points because he had 1 blocked. So that's not bad at all. I mean, he's been really good for us. In terms of punting, Morstead has been pretty good. His net average is a little bit low, but our coverage team isn't great either. So that's a whole another issue. Tommy Lee Lewis has done a good job, as has Travaris Cadet, and Cadet's been our primary punt returner. So that's everything for stats. Let's take a look at the matchup this week against the 49ers. The Niners come into this game at 1-6. Their lone win came, ironically, at the Seahawks. They've lost to some really good teams. I mean, the Buccaneers, the Bills are pretty good, Cowboys are great, Rams are leading the division, Panthers are right there in the thick of things. So they haven't had easy games. Only game that they lost to a team that wasn't great so far has been the Arizona Cardinals, and they just had it rough. But they're coming off of a bye week, so I don't think we can take them all that lightly. We'll take a look at their stats, though. Blaine Gabbert is their starting quarterback, and that's not a good thing for them, per se. But Juwan Harris, been their primary running back. Carlos Hyde, I believe, has been injured, so that's probably the excuse why he's been getting less carries. Curley is their primary receiver. He has 6 touchdowns. Torrey Smith, Riley Cooper. I mean, this is not a very good team in terms of depth, but they still can match up well against us because we have poor corners. So, I mean, that's definitely something to consider. Navarro Bowman leading the team in tackles. Terrence Cody, 7 tackles for a loss. Forrest Buckner and Eric Armstead on the defensive line are 2 dynamic forces. 4 sacks. Ahmad Brooks has been pretty good. Lynch, etc. Interceptions, Jimmy Ward has been their primary catalyst in that department. Phil Dawson only 3 for 5 on field goals. So, obviously, this team is not great, but you can't take any team lightly in the NFL, especially with the fact that we need to win as much as possible to maintain our chance of, surviving this season. Taking a look at our schedule upcoming. It's at 49ers, then versus Broncos, at Panthers versus Rams versus Lions, at Bucks, at Cardinals versus Bucks, at Falcons. So, outside of the Cardinals and the Lions, every one of these teams are vying for a playoff spot after this 49ers game. So, that's not exactly a good thing for us. I mean, it'll be good tests, but the fact is we need to be close to perfect if we want to make it out of here. Anything less than 10-6 means that we really are cutting it close, unless we can win the division with that. So we pretty much need to go 7-2 down the stretch, and if we don't, we might very well miss the playoffs, and that would not be good. So that's something to consider. Let's take a look at the injuries for the 49ers. Obviously, we have no new injuries. P.J. Williams and Michael Thomas both are healed up. 49ers, well, that's why. No Quentin Patton, no Mike Davis, no Thad Lewis, no Bruce Ellington, no Ian Williams, no Will Redmond, and no Riley Cooper. But that means Carlos Hyde is back. So that's something that we're going to have to consider and be prepared for. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Moonlightswami. And we'll be taking this game, and it'll be up on Saturday. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll be talking to you guys later. Peace.